Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of the BunnyZine BZCast. This is the official podcast of BunnyZine.com. That's right, guys. Your favorite e-magazine, your monthly e-magazine website, with our special bunny-themed podcast. This I will talk about it more at the end of the show, but this will be our only recording for the month of December, and it will be our last one for 2015. Today's schedule of the show will be, we'll talk a little bit about BunnyZine in the beginning here. I will bring in my guest, who's Kristin Woodbury, and then I will close it out, and my outro today, which is usually completely something else, which is usually my PBSA, is an end of the year review. We'll kind of talk about, I'll talk to you guys by myself about 2015, about some of the things with myself, BunnyZine, and bunnies in the community. So start off the show with December's issue. Just to remind you guys about December's issue, if you guys haven't downloaded it yet, just go to current issue on BunnyZine.com. It's a special holiday issue. I like to call it a holiday issue. We respect all the holidays that are celebrated in this time of the year, December. I'm recording this at 10:30 at night, my time, Central Time, on December 16th, 2015. Late night podcast recording. Why not? In there is, for the donation, it's to help Dustin, the creator of BunnyZine, of course, as you guys all know. What is Bunny Harvey? He's got some teeth issues, so if you guys can please go donate. Every little dollar counts. I've said that every single episode and every single Periscope broadcast. Our social media pages, of course, official BunnyZine on Instagram, official BZine on Twitter, BunnyZine on Facebook, and official BZine on Periscope. Now, we haven't been on it that much lately, but I keep saying it, but I hope to do more episodes coming up. Timing has just been kind of off lately, as to why I'm recording the show at 10:30 at night my time. So I'm also very lucky to have my guest do it at this time of the night as well. January, there's an opening for you guys to, in your bunnies, obviously, to be in our issue, to have like a Happy New Year resolution and Happy New Year wishes, that kind of stuff. So submit your Happy New Year bunny stuff to at officialbunnyzine at gmail.com. That's officialbunnyzine at gmail.com. That's Dustin's BunnyZine email. If you guys want your bunny in the January special New Year issue, they're pretty cool. So, again, please download December's issue. Don't forget about Dustin's bunny Harvey going through some teeth problems. Help donate towards that. And then that's pretty much it for the intro. Again, we'll go back to 2015 stuff for the outro. I'm going to bring in my guest. My guest is Kristin Woodbury. She is a volunteer at Lucky Bunny Rabbit Rescue. She is an educator in training at the San Diego House Rabbit Society. And then she is also the new admin for the LinkedIn group page, House Rabbit Society LinkedIn group page. So I'd like to bring in my guest. Kristin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to be talking to you.
Awesome. This is the most basic question that I always ask our guests, like right in the beginning. How did you start your work with bunnies? Like, what was your inspiration?
Well, I think I started out like many people, and I got my first bunny, and to be honest, I knew absolutely nothing about rabbits. And so after she passed away, I was just absolutely heartbroken. And I thought to myself that I wasn't quite ready to adopt another rabbit yet. And so I thought what I would do instead would be to volunteer at the local rescue. So I started volunteering at Lucky Bunny Rabbit Rescue. I believe that was a little over 4 years ago. And I was just amazed at how much I learned within just a short amount of time. And within, I would say, 90 days, I adopted another bunny named Oliver, who is still with me. And, after rescuing and working and volunteering for a while, it occurred to me that there was definitely a need for education. And so that kind of put me on my path to not only volunteering so that I could learn more, but also sharing what I learned as a volunteer and educating other people.
That's awesome. And I thought your particular resume for what you do with work was I thought that'd be a great concept for a show, and people who ever thought, hey, I haven't volunteered before, hey, I thought about being an educator and to go into the training for it, but I don't know what it takes. So I think those are good things to dive into for this show. And I think you're the perfect guest for this. So when it comes to volunteering at a rescue, I mean, we always talk in particular when it comes to bunny rescues, but I guess it could probably go to all different rescues. Before someone goes into a rescue and signs out that form, what should they know about volunteering at a rescue?
I think that what I would like to stress most about volunteering at a rescue is that it's a commitment. And more than anything, not only rabbits, but the dogs or the cats, wherever you want to volunteer, they're depending on you. So it is definitely a commitment. And I also like to stress that, it's not always glamorous. I think maybe there's a perception out there that, okay, I'm going to volunteer and rescue, and I'm, going to be this wonderful person who does all these glamorous things. But a lot of volunteering is just doing basic things that the bunnies need, like cleaning their litter boxes, cleaning their pens. Sometimes you get bunny poop on you. Sometimes maybe a bunny will nip at you. And that being said, though, that's exactly what the bunnies need. And it's just, it's important to realize that every single little bit helps the bunny, helps the rescue, whether it be fundraising or, cleaning litter boxes.
Yeah. When it comes to, you were talking about the bunnies nipping at you. You adopted Oliver, correct? Did you adopt him the same rescue when you were volunteering?
Yes, I did. I adopted Oliver from Lucky Bunny Rabbit Rescue.
Is that pretty common, amongst volunteers for for an attachment? You're running around with them with a little pen, and
right.
A bond happens.
A bond definitely happened, and I was still pretty heartbroken from losing Holly, my first bunny. And Oliver, you hit the nail right on the head. I attached a bond to him, and he was kind of bumpy, and he was kind of he's a red-eyed white, so he always got packed over at adoption events.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stand to have him look so lonely and, kind of sad. So I brought him home, and then I adopted him, brought him home. And then I would say maybe a month later, another bunny came in, and she only had one ear. And so I adopted her too and bonded her to Oliver.
Aww.
And it's just kind of grown from there. I've taken in fosters, and it's always kind of heartbreaking when you foster one of your foster bunnies, or I'm sure a dog or a cat gets adopted. But again, you're doing what's best for the bunny. And I, in the meantime, have kind of gravitated towards taking in fostering special needs bunnies. I have several sanctuary bunnies that are, for whatever reason, they've been deemed unadoptable. Maybe they're handicapped or they have EC or something like that. I've kind of gravitated towards taking those bunnies in as well.
Awesome. No, that's pretty cool that the volunteers are, they can do that, to help the rescue out, pretty much like double helping the rescue out. You're volunteering and then you're bringing a bunny home. That's, opening up space for another bunny who may need to come in to the rescue.
Right. And our core volunteer group, both at Lucky Bunny and San Diego House Rabbit Society, we definitely have a lot of foster failures. Most people, or a large majority of the people who volunteer are people who have adopted from us before or are bunny foster parents, and then they just, or if they don't decide to adopt their bunny, then they're always willing to take in another bunny once one of their foster bunnies gets adopted, and that's what it's all about, saving bunnies.
Of course, that's the number one goal, and that's always come across as the number one goal. And with the BZCast, I've gotten pretty lucky to talk to a lot of people involved in rescues, and that's what I like to highlight when I talk to people on the show. Is there's a lot of people doing a lot of work behind the scenes that don't get like a lot of credit, and they aren't really known about how much work is being done. You mentioned volunteering as being a commitment. If someone like did this, is there different kind of hours, like sets of hours, as far as someone has like a full-time job and then wants to do it, or doesn't work and wants to volunteer?
There are definitely several different areas where if you want to volunteer, say you have a full-time job during the week, you can volunteer on weekends. We have pretty much kind of a set schedule during the week where you can volunteer at, even if you only have a half an hour, you can come in and give the bunnies their greens at the end of the day. Or you can come on the weekends and help out on weekends. You can help out at adoption events. But also, if you just don't have the time at all, you can do something as simple as sponsor one of the bunnies at the shelter or the bungalow. Just different things like that. So there are definitely many ways to volunteer. Pick up and deliver hay, help bundle hay for the bunnies, many things.
Yeah, that's a good point that I didn't think about that helps the rescue is like you said, picking up food and bringing it in, and also I'm assuming transportation when bunnies get transported to other rescues and so forth. That's like that helps them out too.
Oh, definitely.
So was there like it is like sorry, I couldn't spit that out. So when it comes to actually being in there and doing the volunteer, you mentioned that you're doing some of the the basic things that the bunnies need. But what would you say would be like the tougher challenges that someone could face while volunteering? Not wanting to scare anyone away, because we want. No. But just in case a situation arises, like what are some of the tougher challenges that you've come across?
Every now and then, in my experience, the toughest thing that I've had to face is that a bunny will come in that has perhaps been abused, and so is very, very scared. And that is always, I don't want to say disheartening, because I think when a bunny who's been in that situation comes in, it's I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for, but it feels really good to kind of spoil them and to show them that not all humans can be abusive. The other thing I think that has been a challenge that we have dealt with this past year is just the overwhelming amount of bunnies. I mean, we had one bunny who literally had 3 litters of babies.
Oh my
in
goodness.
90 days.
Oh.
And it's, when she was turned into the shelter, she had a litter of babies. Then within 30 days, the shelter, not the rescue, but the shelter didn't separate her from the husband or the male bunny, so she had another litter of babies. And then one of the first babies, she ended up having 3 litters within pretty close to 90 days. That can be overwhelming, and I think that the hardest thing for me has been to accept, and again, I'm not saying this to discourage anyone, but to accept that in some situations, you can't save them all. We get overwhelmed with people. I got a bunny for Easter and I don't want it anymore. Can you take it?
Oh.
Well, I'm sorry, but no, we can't. We're at capacity. Every rescue in the area is at capacity. And so it can be a challenge to have to tell people, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. I would say that was the hardest thing for me to kind of to accept,
Yeah, the whole Easter, and I mean, we're in that time right now too. We're as I'm recording this, we're 9 days away from Christmas, and that's going to happen.
Definitely.
I'm in Illinois, outside of the Chicagoland area, and a rescue that's near me is Red Door Shelter. They have cats, dogs, and bunnies, and I think maybe like gerbils and hamsters, and they have a count on their Facebook page, and I think from Easter, like the day after Easter and on, they've had like 72 or 73 that they found as strays, and it's disheartening. It's disheartening,
It is.
It's an amazing team because everyone is like in communication about, it's like they post a picture and someone will send it and say, hey, I saw this bunny that's obviously not a wild rabbit at a corner of this street in this town, and then they kind of talk to each other to try to go out, get a team of people during the day to go out and get this bunny. But yeah, it's the same thing with the rescues by us as well. I'm assuming it's the holiday effect. That they're packed. They're all really packed. Even places that just foster and don't even have bunnies, like in rescues, places that just foster are even, they don't have any foster parents, left.
Right.
So it is a difficult time. I can see it just from the outside. I can't imagine working in it, but but that's part of the like the amazing sacrifice of a volunteer is that time and effort helps such a wonderful little animal.
Right. And it also is very much part of the reason why I decided to become an educator, because there's so many bunnies out there, but there are so many people out there also who just don't know. No, they don't know that a bunny can have have a litter every 30 days. So the I don't want to say negative things, but the challenges of doing rescue are what led me to becoming an educator.
And you know what? That's actually, you are the perfect segue into my next point. And that's, you, like I said in the beginning, you're an educator in training at San Diego House Rabbit Society. I'm really intrigued personally of just what it takes. How long? Is there like classes? What do you guys exactly learn, and like what is required to become an educator in training? I know I just asked you like 4 different things in like the last 10 seconds.
No, that's okay.
And what it and like in the last part,
Yeah.
like what at the end, of course, what it means to be an educator when you've got it, you have that title.
Well, what I started out with, how I started out was I volunteered for 3 years because they like you to have a lot of volunteering experience. And so not only did I volunteer with the rescue with Lucky Bunny and with San Diego House Rabbit Society, but I also spent time at the local shelter, at the local animal shelter, so that I could get an idea of what went on there, what goes on there as well. So I put in my application to become an educator, and I believe I had a period of almost a year where I was a pre-educator in training, and I just mostly did volunteering stuff. And then when I officially became an educator in training, I mostly started doing things like the Bunny 101 classes at San Diego House Rabbit Society. I try to do 1 or 2 of those a month. I do other community events. For example, one of my bunnies, Squirrel, is a therapy bunny. And so I take her to career camps for the Humane Society or for the local shelter. Or, for example, I take her, there are schools that have me come around Easter time to talk to the kids about how maybe it's not the best idea to get a bunny for Easter.
That's a good thing.
So mostly community education programs. I help at the education booth at our Bunny Fest. So mostly educating through different channels.
I'm going to circle back to those Bunny 101 classes. What exactly are they, as an educator in training, learning in those classes?
Well, I'm actually teaching them. So.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I actually teach them. So, and that's part of my training to become an official educator.
Okay.
So once or twice a month, let me circle back. So with San Diego House Rabbit Society, when you adopt a rabbit, you are required to take a Bunny 101 class. And so there are, I believe, 5 educators with San Diego House Rabbit Society who just take turns teaching the Bunny 101 classes. And, we're basically telling people who are thinking of adopting or have recently adopted what they might expect. And it's about an hour and a half class. So that's mostly what I do, as well as, like I said, going to the Humane Societies and talking to kids at critter camps and summer school and stuff like that.
Okay. Is there do they put? Everyone kind of thinks of college high school when they kind of think of this kind of stuff as far as education. Is there a certain timetable where you have to teach these classes and do these events?
I believe it's a year. I believe that after a year of being an educator in training, that you kind of turn in a synopsis of what you've done in the past year, and at that point, they decide, yes, you are an official educator, or no, maybe you need to do a little bit more. So I've done, in addition to the 101 classes, as I mentioned before, I have several what we call sanctuary bunnies who have different medical issues. So that can also kind of be counted towards your educator credit, I guess you would call it, learning how to deal with different medical issues in your bunnies.
Okay.
Definitely helpful. Because as you know, crazy things can come up with them.
Yeah. I've been through it the last 2-3 months. It's
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about it at my outro, but I've adopted 2 in the last 4 months, and within the first month, issues came up, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Oh yes.
The first one had that, I can't remember the name. It's a weird name, but you probably know it actually. That bug, that kind of pushes itself out and then has to be pulled out and then put on antibiotics.
Oh yeah.
That was my little girl Nova. She's a little black Rex, and I was out of nowhere. We had her for a couple of weeks, and then these red spots started developing, and then we just saw this bug laying in her cage. I'm like,
right.
all right, I'm taking you to the emergency exotic animal hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then this other, I know I'm going off on a little tangent, but my other one was not properly sexed. The place I did adopt them is pretty much taking on rescuing bunnies, but I'm not entirely sure what their staff knows about bunnies, and which is a little scary. They had it right, and then my vet had it wrong, and then and then a different vet, because he wasn't he's a Flemish giant. His name is Moose. He's around a year old. He was taken to another vet. My current vet wasn't comfortable with doing it on a Flemish giant because of the anesthesia and didn't want to keep him under longer. Right. I was like, okay, at least you're honest enough to tell me that. So I bring him into this other rescue. He thought, and the vet thought he was a girl. He's like, I'm 99% sure he's a girl. And then we bring him there, and the vet calls us, this other place that's an hour away, calls us and says, hey, we didn't see a uterus, and we found a penis. So I felt terrible for him. He's doing okay. This was actually just about 2 weeks ago. But he was cut open and put under momentarily for no reason at all. So, yeah. Which, there was nothing wrong with him. It just became a terrible situation. That guy, I haven't said anything to him yet, but a lot of people on the House Rabbit group page, I don't know if you're on there or not, on Facebook. The 7-8, there's 8,000 people in it now. There was a lot of people that had a lot of backlash against that guy.
Wow.
So that's a little story, and that's probably, you said wow, which just kind of blows me away, because you've probably seen and heard a lot of things in your experience with what you've been doing with bunnies.
Yes, I've heard some interesting stories of bunnies having strange illnesses or something will go wrong with the vet. So yes, definitely, and again, that's one of the things we stress in Bunny 101 classes is that all these things potentially go wrong, and so you need to be prepared if something does go wrong with your bunny. Again, just like your cat or dog, you need to take it to the vet. That caveat is that not every vet can see your rabbit, so it's definitely important to identify and make a relationship with a bunny savvy vet right away.
Yeah, I always tell people it's like my number one resource for whenever I have to look something up is the Maine House Rabbit Society's, rabbit.org. That's like my
Right.
that's like my main resource for whenever I have to look something up.
Definitely.
I'm like mind-boggling my own mind reading bonding stuff because my goodness, that is long. It is very long. It's paragraph after
Right.
paragraph that what to do if this happens, what to do if this happens, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
because they're in two separate bedrooms, they don't currently get along, but
Hmm.
it's a process.
Yes, it is.
So when if you don't mind me asking, is that time for you close? Are you close to that 1 year?
In January it will be 1 year. Yes, so I'm very close.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
So what comes with that title of being an educator? Like, just what comes with that title? Do you have like a different, like, I don't want to say status. That's a weird way to put it. But
Right.
do you get to go on and do different things in the bunny community with an educator title?
I think that perhaps with the title of educator that your thoughts are maybe solicited more, or your feedback is solicited more. I think also with the title of educator that it gives me a little more confidence. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I do know what I'm talking about. No, I don't mean it like, but and there will be more. There are also more. Once you're an educator, there are educator conferences that you can go to. House Rabbit Society has one, I think, every 3 years, an educators conference. So you can go to that, and also along with becoming an official educator, you also get to you're included in educator groups, which is a great source of information. Just talking among other educators and bouncing ideas off of other educators' heads. So I would say that, and I think, I don't know, maybe when you're teaching a Bunny 101 class or some kind of a class, I don't want to say that you're taken more seriously, but it shows that you took the time and the interest to get to that title.
Yeah, and you have to obviously have a certain passion for what you do, and I think
Right.
if someone kind of understands that you went through that to become an educator and get that, it sounds weird even saying title, but to get that title, attached to what you do at Rescue, that
Right.
people know, they can say, hey, she knows what she's talking about.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for when it comes to an educator in training. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Covered that. Oh, we talked about like the difficulties of volunteering. But I would, from what you explained, that kind of ties into being an educator, because it comes, like, being an educator in training comes with being a volunteer. So
Right.
that's kind of like, it's kind of like tied together when you want to.
Yes, it is.
So when you're doing your volunteering and then you decide, hey, this is something that I want to do, and I want to help other people learn, you could kind of dive right into it.
And I think the volunteering part is important, because then, when you are talking to a new group of volunteers as an educator or someone who's thinking of adopting a bunny, you've been a volunteer, and they see that, so they think, oh, so yeah, she's lived it.
Yeah.
Because definitely as a volunteer, you learn pretty much everything. There are many, many, good and bad. You see good and bad.
Of course, it comes with it being part of the sacrifice that you're making. That you're taking time out of your own day to help bunnies out, and that every day is not going to be a great day.
Right.
I think that's part of the overall sacrifice, and I think a lot of people, should go out there when they go to their rescue, thank those people that go out of their way. Say, hey, thank you, Kristin.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe I'm thinking about volunteering and then maybe becoming an educator. And with education and with bunnies, that you laid down some pretty good groundwork as far as what you're going to be facing if you want to do these things.
Right.
So that's pretty much it for all of our talking points. And I asked you before the recording if you wanted to talk about anything else extra, and you brought up something about San Diego House Rabbit Society. So the floor is yours.
Well, San Diego House Rabbit Society, we have a couple of things. Well, actually, we teach, as I mentioned earlier, we do have Bunny 101 classes every Saturday. So if we encourage people, even if you're just thinking about getting a bunny, come to Bunny 101 class and, find out everything that might be involved. And then further on down the road, in September, of course, we have our annual Bunny Fest here in San Diego. So if you are interested in all things bunny and you think you might like to take a trip to sunny San Diego, which is beautiful in September, by the way, keep an eye open for that. It's, I believe I think it's the first weekend in September, typically. But our Facebook page or our web page would give an exact date.
Okay. Well, Kristin, I would like to thank you for taking time out of your night. a little bit of a later night here than there in California, but I thank your time, and they give my audience a lot of important information when it comes to volunteering and what it takes to become an educator in training.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to almost touch base with you on one thing, Kristin.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a mishap on my part.
That's
for the HRS LinkedIn group page, I only wanted to ask you like a couple of things on it.
Okay.
I'm assuming Margot, when she messaged you or called you, approached you about this, and you accepted it, what was your overall goal? Because it is a very small group on that page. I've been a part of it for, I don't know, 6-8 months, something like that. To be the admin for the group, what is your goal for like that group page? I know it's not like the most popular social media page, LinkedIn, but it does serve to help people with questions and different.
See, that's part of my goal is to get it to be a big popular page that lots of people follow, and we have lots of people following, and that we have lots of people sharing information about bunnies and their experiences, and also maybe get the attention of other rescues maybe that have LinkedIn pages so that we can share ideas. And I think the more knowledge that you get from other people, other rescue groups, the better. So that's my goal, to grow it and get lots of people participating, lots of people sharing ideas. There's no such thing as a bad idea. And so that's where I would like to see it go.
Awesome. I'm so glad I took like a quick note. I have little show notes. I always show it to the laptop. And I looked at it for a split second, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask about the LinkedIn stuff. So, Kristin, thank you again for your time, saying it for the second time.
Oh, no problem.
So, good luck with everything. I'll ask you in January about the whole educator, how it's going. And hopefully,
okay.
Next time I touch base with you, you'll have that title, and then we'll see where you go from there.
Very good. That sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristin.
Thank you very much.
You have a nice...
Have a happy holiday.
You too. You have a happy holiday as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You have a nice night.
You too. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, guys, that was, of course, Kristin Woodbury. I thought she provided some insight for you guys, that whoever thought about, hey, I want to volunteer, and here's some information that maybe I should know about, because you might not know other people that volunteer. And if you ever thought about being an educator in training, House Rabbit Society does have a group page on LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, I know, like as I said to Kristin, that it is not a super popular social media page. Like when people talk about social media to each other, it's like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. But LinkedIn is like the professional social media page. It's kind of weird saying that because of what goes on in social media sometimes. But it is more of the professional social media page where people talk to each other about more serious topics in the world. And there is a group page. I will speak about a little bit about it in a couple of minutes about the group page, and the previous admin of the page. So yeah, if you guys are on LinkedIn and you think you might be interested in getting some information that maybe might not come on your Facebook news feed or on your Twitter news feed, whatever, you should look into it. So go into your LinkedIn profile and search House Rabbit Society. It has a group page. Like I said, there's only a little over 70 people, but I think it has a lot of potential to be something bigger, and to provide more of like a sophisticated education for people who are just looking for it. When people are looking for help and posts and stuff on like Facebook and Twitter, things could get kind of messy. As you guys know, people can argue with each other on this and that, to where LinkedIn might be a little more like, I don't know how to put it, straightforward with their articles and that kind of stuff. Not saying that like what's posted on the Facebook like group page isn't important at all. I've personally learned information off the Facebook group page, but LinkedIn could also be a nice option for you as well. So definitely look into it. Kristin was an awesome guest. This is the only show of December. This is the final show of 2015. And segues. I'm going to take a sip of water. Alright. It segues right into the end of the year review. I actually didn't know how to end this show up until like last night. And I'm like, you know what? I should do like a kind of review. A lot of things have happened in 2015 in the bunny world. I've been part of it with BunnyZine since May. I had this idea for this podcast in May. Or no, I'm sorry. I joined in April-ish. And then June came around, and that's like, I believe, when we had our first episode. End of May or early June. I want to say early June, with Ann Martin of the House Rabbit Society. the National House Rabbit Society, and it's been going good. The views, this is just speaking particularly of the BZCast, the views are still like a little low when I look at them on YouTube. I really can't see them on iTunes and well, yeah, I could see them on Soundcloud, but I really can't see them on iTunes. So views are still a little low. There have been some episodes that were really popular and some episodes that weren't watched that much. So my only New Year's wish for when it comes to Bunnies on the BZCast is for you guys to check it out, give it a listen, give the old episodes a listen. They're not, time. You can listen to any episode at any time with all these guests. Yet certain episodes have certain current events that are kind of mixed in, but you can still listen to them, get a lot of information from our guests. And so we're on YouTube. Before I start the end of the year review, we're on YouTube.com, we're on Soundcloud.com, and we're on iTunes Podcast. Please share the videos, share the podcast, and subscribe to whatever your format is, whatever your favorite one. If you have an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod Touch, you have the little podcast app that's purple with a microphone. Type in Bunnies on BZCast, and it's on there. You'll see 11 episodes. Well, you'll see 12 episodes, actually, by the time you listen to this. Subscribe to it so that every time Bunny Zine puts out a new episode, it'll be like an update on your phone, or not like a notification on your phone. That's the right word. That you'll get on your phone. Bunny Zine BZCast has uploaded a new episode, and boom, you could listen to it. You could listen as I have an iPhone, so I only know it through iPhone. That you can just lock your phone and it still plays and do whatever you want to do. Put it on headphones while you're at the gym, or put on Bluetooth speaker while driving. Any of that, it's very easy to listen to while doing other things. Same thing goes for those who don't have iPhones and you have Android phones. I'm speaking because of phones, because we all have phones pretty much by now, and we all do everything with our phones now. It's insane. SoundCloud, there's a SoundCloud app. If you choose to listen to it and you're not a fan of iTunes, you don't have an iPhone, type in Bunnies on BZCast. You'll see all of our episodes. You can hit I can't speak to it 100%, but I'm assuming that you can press play and just go on with the rest of your day, for the next hour and a half while listening to the show. And on YouTube is basically for our YouTube people and who want to see some visuals of like what our current issue looks like, and some of the other visuals that are on the YouTube page. Those are just frankly for our people that like YouTube and prefer that format. As most of the podcast is audio, you're not going to really see me much on video, but just for the people that prefer YouTube, it's just very popular. The very popular thing where you just go on YouTube without even thinking about it. So Bunnies on BZCast on YouTube, we have a channel on there where you'll see 12 episodes. Again, if you subscribe to it and you have like the YouTube app on your phone, this goes for both like Android and iPhone, that you'll get like a little notification if you have your notifications set up right in your settings of your phone, saying Bunnies on BZCast upload a new episode. Boom, you could just listen to it right there as soon as you get the notification. So that's my Bunnies on BZCast podcast tangent. So my 2015 end of the year review with Bunnies on, as I went off on that little tangent. Sorry about that, but I always want to inform our listeners of how they could listen to the show. So some of the bunny stories throughout the year, there was a lot of bunny stories. The big headline, of course, I think it was in August. In August, that we found out, August or September, I want to say August, that we found out about Whole Foods ending their campaign for rabbit meat, which is awesome. It's by the time it's over, it should be over by January 1st. I'm also gonna get into a little message about Whole Foods. That's over. That's the big headline. There was a couple of other stories. Celebrities like Rob Dyrdek, and I believe it was Caitlyn. It was one of the Jenners. I think it was Caitlyn Jenner. Had a bunny rabbit, and kind of like, I guess on her Instagram has shared her rabbit. Rob Dyrdek from MTV, the guy with like 3 or 4 shows on MTV, the skateboarding guy. He has a little bunny named Hammy. That was like a whole episode of the BZCast. It was like celebrities with bunnies. It was like episode 6 or something like that. So that was, again, the big headline is Whole Foods. I actually wanted to share this message that the Rabbit Advocacy Network on their Facebook page had this post, and I think I make sure that back as well. Like the whole store, then that section should be cleared out. Bunny meat as of January 1st. So if you go into Whole Foods, you drive by one, just stop in and ask them that question. We just want to make sure, and I think that's an important message that the Rabbit Advocacy Network shared, just want to make sure Whole Foods is sticking to what they're saying, that they're not going to be shady about this like they were shady about their campaign. Shady, not the S word, shady, about their campaign, about basically trying to set a new standard in the meat industry and trying to set a new market for rabbit meat. Let me see on some of the other stories. There was the LCA investigation where some of us saw the graphic images and videos. It was really hard to forget when you see them about the bunnies basically being tortured when they're said to have like a quick, easy death. As far as the last I heard is they faced some, I don't know how many if they faced even any penalties at all. I can't remember even the name of you could call it a slaughterhouse. The name of the slaughterhouse, what it was called. I believe it was in Iowa or something. It stormed the anti-gag law, I think it was called, the gag law, to where, because it was an undercover recording. Someone was in there recording this, and that slaughterhouse organization tried to fight it and they lost. So they have to somewhat be on their toes to do things right, or else they could face more problems of being caught. They got caught once. It's horrible that they're even doing this with bunnies, but we just hope and pray, cross our fingers, whatever you do, that it's handled at more of a humane way. It pains me to even say that, but that's what you got to kind of hope for. Obviously, we want them all taken down immediately, but it's just not how that process works for bunnies in this country, in the United States. If anyone's listening outside the United States, I'm incredibly grateful for you for tuning in. We have lost some bunnies this year, and before I even go into it, I apologize if I missed anyone's. I'm just going over bunnies that were on popular Facebook pages. Anyone who has lost a bunny, my condolences go out to you and your family. It's hard. I've been through it. it's not hard. It's not hard. It's not easy. That's what I meant to say. There's no further way to explain it. There's no there's no proper grieving time. You're always gonna miss them. I just know how much how much that pain is, how hard it is to deal with sometimes. It's been a little over a year with me since my Milo has passed away. I've brought him up in other previous episodes. Milo's my inspiration for doing Bunny Sign and doing the BZCast. It's my way of just doing something good. As I said to Kristin while she was on as a guest, I think people that do the hard, dirty work behind the scenes, people and volunteers, people that volunteer at rescues, should be given more credit, given more their due to the public. You just kind of assume people are in there volunteering, but you don't really think about that person, about an individual particular person working at the rescue. You just say, there's some people volunteering there, about what they have to go through on a daily basis, and they're doing it out of their own time. I mean, that's a good, sacrifice when it comes to doing this for a little furry animals. This goes for cats and dogs as well, but I'm talking specifically with bunnies. It's a major sacrifice out of your time, and sometimes out of your own mental state. Sometimes with some of the stuff that you might have to deal with. I'm not trying to scare anyone out of volunteering, but I'm just saying there's some hurdles that you're going to have to face when you go into volunteering. Some weird stuff, some scary stuff. But I can only imagine that when you see a happy bunny and you see one get adopted and get into a new life, that it's got to be an amazing feeling. You just got to be happy. You know what I mean? Like, to help a bunny, like Kristin said, an abused bunny come in and be spoiled and be shown love that it hasn't seen before. That's a great thing. That's an amazing thing to do, as a volunteer or as someone who fosters or adopts. But going into the bunnies that we've lost, everyone knows we did our tribute issues for Tommy and Reggie. Tommy and Reggie are very dear buns that were friends of Bunny Sign, and I really can't go into much more. Is that saying that we miss him? I've personally commented on Tommy's, some of the people, Tommy's family that posts on his behalf old pictures and videos and stories. Saying, hey, I miss the big guy. I miss seeing the big guy with some of his goofy behavior, and also the cute videos with his, his bun wife. I'm gonna really mess up her name, Mizay. I'm gonna really mess it up. I'm sorry, but we miss kind of seeing that stuff. You miss kind of seeing old stuff. I'm really. I'll just go into the other pages as well. Nick Knickerbocker of the Knickerbocker Facebook page, and just recently, I'm recording this on December 16th, but just recently, I think it was like a week ago, Venus passed away. Venus was someone very dear to Bunny Sign. She was like one. I wasn't aware of Bunny Sign when Bunny Sign first started, and Venus was like, I guess, one of the biggest fans. I had like a conversation with Dustin. Dustin could speak way more to how special Venus was than I can, because he just had so many conversations with Venus. She was in one of our very first issues. I'm not sure if it was exactly our first issue, but she was in one of our very first issues. and she's always been an adorable, good little bunny friend to Bunny Zine. Dustin got to meet Venus at Midwest Bun Fest. Nick, and I'm not. Oh, sorry, pausing for a split second. Nick, I think his story is a pretty amazing story. He went through a lot with surgeries and numerous cancer and the treatments. I'm just trying to remember some of the stuff that John mentioned, his bun dad. But it's a pretty amazing story that they grew out of something that was horrible, became this beautiful bond that we all got to witness between John and Nick. And that's special. That's pretty special. I think most of us, sometimes John on the House Rabbit page, I noticed this, would do a post of Nick sleeping on his arm. And he's like, I haven't been able to get up for 3 hours. And everyone in the comments is telling him, hey, shut up. I wish our bunnies would do that with us. And that's kind of how the feeling was. We all were jealous of John because sometimes you could cuddle with a bunny and then for a long time, sometimes they want to hop away right away or don't want to cuddle at all. So, yeah, those were always adorable things to see. John had mentioned that there were a lot of cancerous tumors that were found after he passed. So, I know it's not easy to accept, any time a bunny dies. Circling back, I did not forget Reggie, to talk about Reggie. I did not get to see a lot of Reggie's pages. I basically learned, or posts, Reggie's posts, but I learned through Reggie, through the tribute issue, and my goodness, the ears. My goodness, the ears, and a very photogenic bun that just looked perfect in a garden. And I don't know if any other bunny outside of Reggie can look that good with that hat. It just looked perfect on Reggie, it was just a part of Reggie. And you're just awed at him, and his hopping and Dustin lost to I'm trying to think of the timeline when he lost his personal bunny Pancakey. I'm trying to say that right. And he lost another bunny in his family named Grayson. So, Dustin, buddy, my condolences go out to you and your family for your 2 losses this year. And I wish you the best with Harvey and his teeth. And hopefully that everything works out. Dustin has a pretty incredible story when it comes to Harvey and how he got, he met him I believe he met him at Midwest Bun Fest. And then a couple of people went out of their way to help transport him to Dustin. I'm not sure if I think Dustin met up at a certain point to pick up Harvey, but it's a pretty good story on how those two came together, and I wish the best to Dustin with his bunny Harvey, and my condolences on his loss of his 2 buns this year. There was a particular bunny that I came across on Instagram. I also do the Bunny Zine's Instagram official. That's official Bunny Zine. Sorry guys, I'm just losing my voice a little bit. I'm fighting it. Is a little brown bunny, pretty cute. Person was very active. I'm assuming his mom was very active on the Instagram page with posts. It really stunk because I didn't really get to see the page that much with the Instagram, and then I saw a post to where he was going to have to be euthanized, and then he was euthanized just because he was too sick and there was nothing that the doctors could do. I wasn't sure of the exact to say disease, but the exact problem that he had. So, Bunny the Tawny, that's the name of the Instagram page. My condolences go out to you if you're listening to this. Thank you for listening. You've always liked our posts, so we always like yours. So sorry for your loss. The Low Brown Bunny seemed really awesome. You took great pictures and great moments of them. And then on Twitter, I came across on Twitter, mostly through other Twitter pages because this was just a popular page. And then again, I follow them, and not too shortly after I followed them, and I was loving their posts. The bunny passed away. The bunny was named Barney. I think the Twitter handle is something along the lines of Barney Bun or something like that. There's a little white rabbit with the black nose. I'm not entirely sure what the breed is called, but I'm sure some of you guys know. With the breed with the black, the all black pointed, nose, and black along the ears. He was a bigger bunny too. A very cute bond with his mom. I believe he passed away sometime in the summer. If anyone knows Barney Bun on Twitter that's listening, or if you guys, if she happens to listen, thank you for listening, and my condolences go out to you. You had a adorable bond relationship with your bunny. So again, my condolences go out to anyone who had to deal with the loss of a bunny this year. At any time, of course, but I'm just doing the 2015 review part. The Bunnyzine BZCast. It's been a good run with Bunnyzine in the time I've been here. I'm not saying because of me. I'm just saying just because I've been part of the team since April of doing the Twitter and the Instagram and some Facebook posts and the podcast. Of course, the BZCast. I'm happy that I'm the host of the podcast. I've said it before many times that I'm happy with this opportunity to host this podcast. I get to have conversations with some pretty awesome people. I don't think you guys want to hear me more speak about the people, behind the scenes. I've talked about them a lot. So we're in review. We've had some really good stories, some really good writing in our Bunnyzine issues before 2015, of course. But the ones that I've read while being part of the team, there's been some pretty great stuff. And just everything in the bunny community, you have bunny books. Dustin does reviews, special stories that about special situations in the bunny community. And the BZCast and the magazine is a nice little team of different kinds of media that dive into different bunny situations in the bunny community. I'm very happy to be and proud to be part of the team. Like I said a million times, and I said just 30 seconds ago, I'm happy for this opportunity to do this. My ultimate goal, not just for next year, but the goal with the podcast, is to have it on a more of a consistent basis. My ultimate goal is to do it once a week. That would be awesome. It just doesn't completely work out this way. People in the rescue industry are incredibly busy. Obviously dealing with bunnies and, adoptions and events. And, if you're an educator in training, you're doing 101 classes on the weekend. So I'm grateful for all the guests I've had so far. The conversations have been really good. They provided so much information, so much detail about themselves, and so much detail about what they do in the bunny community. I'm trying to think of. Oh, and my personal, and I'll keep this short because you guys don't want to hear about me. You want to hear about Bunnyzine and bunnies. my 2015 was pretty eventful while being part of Bunny Zine. The BZCast took a little bit to to learn everything about what goes into a podcast. It is not as, if you are not like super tech savvy, it's not as easy you might think. I'm not saying it's like super hard, but I had to learn a lot of terminology of what meant what, like an RSS feed, for an example. I had no idea. I heard of it, but I didn't know what it meant, and it's incredibly important when you're doing podcasts and so much other stuff. I'm grateful for Kedzie. She does the editing for the show. I email it to her, and then she does the editing. She does the visuals for those who prefer YouTube for the video, and then I upload it. So, Kedzie, thank you for always doing a good job this year for 12 episodes. Grateful, thank you. To the Bunny Zine development team, a lot of ideas, and I'll just basically here to help out Dustin with the issues and provide different ideas for Bunny Zine and what to do going forward. I'm really optimistic about Bunny Zine going forward, not just for 2016, but just and beyond. As some of you know, that it almost ended in May, I think like May 17th. Dustin was calling it because of some very horrible laptop issues, and he just didn't think if it was going to be worth it to fix the laptop or try to find a way to get a new laptop and go out of his way because of the viewership. But you guys were awesome and donated a ton of money to help Dustin get the new laptop and get the program, his programs going for whatever he uses to do the Bunny Zine e-magazine, the monthly issues. So that's my 2015 review. I would like to thank you guys for listening. Again, we're on YouTube.com, Soundcloud.com, and iTunes Podcasts. Happy holidays to everyone, or for any holiday you celebrate. Happy holidays, all you guys. Happy New Year to you guys. Again, this is the final podcast recording of 2015. Again, thank Kristin for spending time with us. Take time out of her night to talk about volunteering, educator, and training. Any questions for me or about the show, Bunny, you can email them to me, and I check it like a couple times a day. I rarely get any emails at all, but I always check it a couple times a day just in case. So it's bunnyzinecast@gmail.com. Again, that's bunnyzinecast@gmail.com. That's like the BZCast email that I run just in case we need it, and to answer questions and from you guys. That's pretty much it, guys. Again, happy holidays. Have a good new year. And stay tuned for January. Should have some guests lined up for January that weren't able to do this in December because like Kristin said, all rescues are getting slammed right now, and the holidays are rolling around where they're getting slammed with, rabbits coming in and being overrun, and also people are adopting because people adopt bunnies as gifts around this time of the year, and we know how I don't have to talk more about how horrible that is. We all know by now. So that's it, guys. Happy holidays. Have a good year. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.